Women podcast. For your career and your life, no matter what business you're in.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Northern Power Women podcast. I'm Sam Walker with a slight sniffle in Arizona. She's Simone Roche in that there Liverpool town. How the devil are you?
Oh my goodness, you must be freezing over there. You must be perished, my love.
I've got a jumper on, which nobody in this country knows what that is. A what? Oh, you mean a sweater? A sweater. I'm like, yeah, whatever, love, a jumper.
We've had no heating for a week, so,
what?
Yeah, I know. I know. Seriously, I'm wearing sweaters? Jumpers.
Sweaters.
Jumpers and wraps galore.
Oh my gosh, goodness me. Well, look, it's been a tough old week. You know, it's still crackers here in the US because of election fever, despite the first ever female vice president elect, which I cried my eyes out through her speech. It was wonderful, but there's still, a lot to go through before the next president is fully inaugurated in January. Let's brush over that. You're having tough times with lockdown still continuing in England, of course. Should we have some good news? What good stuff's been going on?
Do you know what? We have got some good news, actually. So we've got, last week we signed the Armed Forces Covenant. So obviously I have the connection now with the Royal Navy, but I was invited to join signing. This is all about support for the armed forces. So I was invested in that last week, which was very exciting. Didn't get a chance to wear a uniform, but maybe next time. But we have got a brand new partnership, which I'm really excited about, with a charity called Future First. Future First are all about role models for young people in schools. And you know what? You may be familiar, but we are all over role models and really passionate about them. So big ask to our Northern Power Women, Northern Power Futures community. Sign up to be alumni of your school. And you know what? If you weren't a big fan of your school, sign up to any school. But it's all about, sort of the lots of universities, lots of private schools all have these big alumni. But this is about, if you like, more of the state schools. And so we are encouraging all of our vast community to pay it forward and be a role model. So I'm really excited about that partnership because we're doing something on our Power platform with them. So it's going to bring that real connectivity together. And also last week, we now have our first official founding partner for Northern Power Futures, which is Bank of New York Mellon.
Wow.
So I know it's a conversation that has been going on for a long, long time. So we're really excited. The first thing that we're doing next week, actually, is we've got our first webinar with them, which we're really excited. So it's all about sort of like that human approach and the human approach to leadership. So pretty excited, actually. Some good stuff coming up when we think that 2020 is like,
I know it is tough times, and you know what keeps me going is a lot of those crazy memes we all share about how 2020 is just like so appalling. It's kind of we're taking its power away by trying to laugh in its face. I think it's the way forward.
Absolutely, and actually, you know what? We're absolutely against that. Because I think we did see a change in conversation with Kamala's speech, didn't we? Last week we saw it felt like I was in a different year. It felt like I was in a different era, and Joe Biden as well. There just was a different tone, wasn't there? It was not combative. Is that right? I'm clearly falling over my words today, but just felt very much more, there was more empathy. It was more about what we can do. So it was maybe it's just a refresh. And what we've got in on the 7th of December, which would have been our rescheduled awards, we are doing a virtual social takeover on the 7th of December. So please come join the conversation because it's all about uplift. We're not having 2020 go out going, that was the worst thing ever. We're going to find some hope. We're going to find some hope, and we're going to do some serious high-fiving online on the 7th of December. So please join in northernpowerwomen.com/cheers.
Love it. What a brilliant idea. Now, look, you just mentioned leadership a moment ago, and I just want to talk for one moment about a leader. She's a previous interviewee on the Northern Power Women podcast in our past incarnation in season 1, Professor Jane Turner. Just for people who aren't aware about Jane and her work, can you just tell the listeners a bit about her?
Jane is the Pro-Vice Chancellor of Teesside University, and much more. like literally much more. Just before recording today's podcast, I've been on a call with her. So as part of the report that we launched last month, our Levelling Up report, one of the things, and there was about a piece of research that we're doing with Teesside about the new traits of leadership. And so Jane had introduced me to the chief exec of the Northeast Chamber of Commerce. And it's brilliant because this is all about, what we can do together and what we can promote together. So we're going to take this research that we've done from the samples of narrative research that we collated over lockdown about the new traits. And we're going to form those in a series of round tables to kind of bring those discussions to life. Because again, as passionate as we're about not having a report that sits on the shelf, we equally don't want a piece of research that just goes, we did that in 2020. We want this to shape,
yes.
We want this to shape our future. We want this to shape our workplaces of the future. So we're really excited. So watch this space. We're going to be going agile and mobile, discussing these new traits. So we want you to get involved. So please follow us at northernpowerwomen.com on our brand new website.
Lovely.
And equally, when these roundtables come out and when the discussions, we'll put all those opportunities out on our power-platform.com. And getting all the brands in today.
All the .coms we need to get you through to the end of this year and beyond. I love it. Look, I want to talk about something a little bit serious for a moment. Not that we're not, we don't talk about serious things on this podcast. Of course we do every single week. But this week, Simone, is anti-bullying week. And I'm sure that when you hear the term anti-bullying week, like most people, you might think of school. And you might think of the school bullies, duffing someone up for their lunch money around the back of the lockers or whatever. And you think of those teenagers and actually the hell that a lot of school children do go through every single day all around the world because of bullies. And they are the worst. One thing I think that we don't talk about as much is bullying in the workplace with actual grown-ups, because guess what? That goes on as well, and it goes on up and down the country, and it goes on whether you're working from home, whether you're working remotely in other places, whether you're in the office every single day, and it also goes on if you are an incredibly strong and confident person. And I talk about this from experience, and I don't want to start naming names and going into huge details, but this is something that happened to me not that long ago in living memory, obviously when I was still working in England. And it was something that it came quietly. It wasn't obviously someone, duffing me up for my lunch money. It wasn't people standing around and catcalling and calling me names. It came in the form of gaslighting and being ostracized and really small, subtle things that was one individual who did have quite a lot of power, who then sort of spread it out across other people who didn't want to speak up because this person had a lot of power. And this is how it quite often comes, isn't it? It's quite insidious because that one person decides they don't like you, they don't like the cut of your jib, they don't like what you stand for. So the whole sneering, rudeness, then almost it becomes infectious. It infects other people who don't want to speak up because they don't want to speak up against that powerful individual. And it absolutely killed me. It was the worst sort of 6 months that I've been through in my professional life, when I would get to work and I go, hi, hello, silence, not even somebody recognizing that I'd arrived. And you go, okay, crickets again, okay. And just the sort of the eye rolling and the tutting. And I remember once, I really remember this so well, drinking a latte. And when you get a latte from a coffee shop and you've got all that froth that sits around the top of the cup. And I just put my finger around the rim of the cup and licked my finger because it had all the froth on for the milk. And this person looked at me like I was a piece of dirt and went, oh, God, you're disgusting. And it was with such passion and hatred. That sort of stuff sounds innocuous. It sounds like, hey, sticks and stones, so someone says you're disgusting. You ignore it. You're a woman in your 40s. You're grown up. You're professional. I tell you what, after months and months of this sort of chipping away and gaslighting, it was just horrendous. And I did go and talk to superiors and nothing was done. And I did feel massively let down. the reason I've shared this, and I couldn't share it at the time because I couldn't talk about it because it actually made me ill. And I would have panic attacks and I would have migraines and I just didn't know why this person was acting in this way to me. And it was absolutely horrendous. And I just want to say to people who are experiencing it, please, please, please speak up. Speak up. I did speak up and I was ignored and shot down, but at least I spoke up and I tried. So I don't have any regrets about that. I do feel let down by the fact that I wasn't supported until, in fact, bizarrely, a couple of years later when a manager said, "Oh, we didn't treat you very well during that time, did we?" And I was like, ah! But it exists. It is nothing wrong with you. It is nothing to do with your confidence, your ability, what you have been through. And I know we did a poll about it, didn't we, Simone, on North Power Women on Twitter?
We did, and we asked the question, have you ever experienced bullying in the workplace? 66% overwhelmingly said yes, 20% said no, 9% said they'd witnessed it, and 5% said they'd reported it. But interestingly enough, and that was a big thing, witnessed and reported it, didn't go down well with directors and they were scared to deal with it. I remember supporting somebody when we first met, someone putting here, yes, tons of times it's happened to me. I've witnessed it with others. I've had to deal with it. Whilst this has been something I've seen between employees, bizarrely, the majority of bullying I've actually witnessed has been at management level. Same here. The saying, face doesn't fit, springs to mind. For me, driving an ethical culture and behaviours at senior management level is so important if we're ever going to shift towards being the responsible business to strive. And there's tons of comments, but yes, and reported it to be told by HR that person was too powerful for them to take action. It's like, this is like a script, this stuff, isn't it? You just can't believe. You think that this has just been written and it doesn't really exist. It's make-believe, but that is literally just happened. We put these polls out, as you know, every week. It's a 24-hour poll. So, that's just a snapshot. But I felt just sick for you, just hearing what you'd gone through, and so I echo what you say. For people that it's going on out there, and I don't know how, even more challenging it must be that this still happens in a virtual environment as well, and so it's not you, and actually this is not okay.
It's not okay. And that's what really angers me. And I did find the strength to go and talk up about it. And, I did go to a manager who said, I've never seen this person looking so unhappy as when they've worked with you. And I was like, sorry? You're saying they're unhappy? What? Excuse me? I've done nothing wrong. I've literally turned up, been professional, done my job. And you're saying they're unhappy? I said, what about me? And this manager turned around to me and said, no one cares what you think. You're not, insert name of this person here. And that for me said it all about the absolute toxic environment that I was working in. And yet other people had come to me, lower members of the team, and said, I've seen what's going on. I'm so sorry. When I first joined, this person absolutely hated me as well. And I used to go home and cry. But, they did get over it after a while. We've got an okay relationship now. And I'm like, oh, right, okay. So this person made your life hell, but then got over themselves. And so now that's okay. And wow. Just the acceptance, and we know that this goes on up and down the country, everywhere, all the time. And I'm sorry I don't have a resolution that I went to management and they sorted me out and this person was admonished. I went to management and they just told me to shut up and put up. But at least I went to management, and I would just urge you, please, 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 don't sit there in silence. I had a friend, I'm not going to say who this person is, but they started a role. And within 6 months, were having panic attacks and feeling very, very anxious. And I remember them saying to me, I've gone to the doctors and I've got antidepressants, I've got anxiety medication. And I went, oh my gosh, I am absolutely down with somebody taking medication if they've got mental health issues, if this is correct for them. But for me, it was such a huge flashing neon sign. Leave your job. Don't take medication to deal with your job. Leave your job, because you never needed this before you started this job. And there was that, and they did eventually leave their job, and it all ended, it was quite horrible and very, very difficult for them, and it wasn't their choice in the end. But guess what? They didn't need that another 6 months down the line. So it really shouldn't make you ill and make you anxious to go to work. If it does, it is not your fault. It is your job, and please, please, please do something about it. None of us should feel sick at the thought of going to work, and I have been there, and it's horrible, horrible.
And
horrible.
I think this is where workplaces, this is one of the comments as well here, is workplaces should be safe, happy places, and there is zero excuse for bullying. So I totally endorse that. And when we put the poll out, we share it in our various WhatsApp groups, and somebody came back and went, "Oh gosh, that's a really uncomfortable question, but that makes it a really good question." And I think this we like to talk about, don't we? We like to talk about different things. So sorry if it makes you feel awkward, but it is happening. And just to reiterate, it's not okay. It's absolutely not okay.
And funnily enough, I know we're in production for season 7 of the Northern Power Futures podcast right now. And I know one of the questions that came from one of the young people on that, because we talk about this happening virtually, is that somebody did a reply all on an email thread. And this person said something really hurtful about the way that I conduct myself in meetings. And it's now taken my confidence away for speaking up at meetings. And they don't know I've seen it and I don't know what to do. And I'm trying to brush it off, but I feel I can't speak up anymore because all they can hear is this person being rude about them. And you see, it does go on and it still happens. I could share so many stories with you, Simone. We'd be here all day, but speak up, please. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the response is for that question on the Northern Power Futures podcast as well, which is coming out end of November. So do please listen out for that. Let's get some life lessons in our life. I think we need some fantastic wisdom from our Northern Power Women Network, Simone.
Oh, we've got Malasree home this week, who is the ED&I officer for the Faculty of Medical Sciences at Newcastle University. Oh, you know what? I replayed and replayed this one. Here's Malasree.
Hi, my name is Malasree Home, and I'm the EDI officer at the Faculty of Medical Sciences, Newcastle University. My first question is, tell us about an important role model in your life. For me, my most important role model is my grandfather. My grandfather and his family came over from one country to another, crossing the border at a very, very turbulent political period in Indian history, with practically nothing. They had to start their lives anew. He ended up being a professor of physics at one of the premier institutions in my home city. He taught me the importance of education, the importance of integrity, the importance of honesty, and he taught me never to give up. So he was and is a very important person in my life. The next question that I've chosen is, what's one piece of advice that had really stuck with you? A very wise woman once told me that you can earn money back, but health and goodwill will never come back to you if you lose it. So that's one of the mantras that I try to live by. For me, all these things are incredibly important. The third question that I've chosen: when have you faced imposter syndrome and what did you do about it? I don't think I can answer this question in the past tense. I face it pretty much all the time. I hope it gets better with time and that I get better at managing it as time passes. But during a leadership course that I did recently, I learned the importance of journaling and kind of writing down and listing the things that you're really good at. And I have found that sometimes just going over that list, just especially in moments of doubt, to go over and see things that you've actually achieved, things that you've actually done, can be a real mood booster. And that in some ways helps me get over imposter syndrome. The next question: what would you tell the 25-year-old about work-life balance? I was way too serious as a 25-year-old. I think I would tell myself it's okay to let your hair down and have fun and laugh and just be silly. I should have been sillier, I think, when I was 25. And the final question: when have you taken a risk and what happened? So, for me, I started life thinking that I would be an academic. At some point of time, that did not end up working. Certainly not in the way that I wanted it to work. And there were periods when I became seriously disillusioned. It affected my well-being, it affected my mental health. And one of the biggest risks that I took at that point of time was deciding that I had to change careers. For me, having a career was very important, but it also had to be something that I was good at and something that I was, that was meaningful to me. So that was when I made the decision to go into professional roles, and I have now ended up in an EDI role, which frankly I love. I just love the work that I do. I love the opportunities that it gives me, the variety of people I end up meeting. So there was a huge period of uncertainty and doubt, but I have come through it stronger and happier and more at peace with myself, I think.
Malasree Home, thank you so very much indeed, from Newcastle University. I love her tip about journaling. I've been reading so much about journaling. Writing stuff down, guess what? It really works.
Yeah, and there's been lots of talk about this. A lot of Claire Talbot-Jones talks about journaling. Sophie Miller can talk about it. And I don't know whether I have a mental block about the writing down thing. Maybe I'll try an audio thing instead. But yeah, lots and lots. That's definitely been one of the lockdown learns for me. There's a phrase there, lockdown learns. But what stuck with me was the advice that stuck with Malasree, which was you can earn money back, but health and goodwill will never come back to you if you lose it.
Yes.
Thought that really resonated. Thought that was really good. But yeah, great life lessons this week, weren't they?
Thank you so very much to Malasree Home. We would love to hear from you, your life lessons every single week on this podcast. It'll only take you a couple of minutes. Bob us an email, podcast@northernpowerwomen.com. It's that simple. If you've been thinking about doing this for weeks and haven't done it, come on, I'll slap the back of your legs like my nana used to do for me. Come on, get on with it. So please, please, please do send us an email. We will tell you exactly what to do. It's dead easy. podcast@northernpowerwomen.com. Look, before we head off into the sunset, Simone, I know you're a big fan of a jigsaw puzzle, right?
Indeed, I love a good old jigsaw.
And you are the queen of the jigsaw. You've done some amazing ones, as your social media account @Simone Roche will attest. So I went to a big warehousey superstore thing, Costco thing here, and I saw these puzzles, and one was a map of the world, but all sort of hand-drawn, so kind of animated. It was really cool. And there was lots of little sort of famous landmarks on there from all over the world, South America, North America, all over Asia. I mean, it really, really cool. I thought, I'll have a bit of that. So it was a 1,000-piece puzzle. Dead exciting. Took us absolutely weeks. We did it all as a family as we walked past the dining room table, putting a piece in here or there. Get to the end, Simone. You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
No, surely not.
I was furious. I was furious. One piece missing, virtually slap bang in the middle. I was getting the box. I was going to write to them, send them an email. How could you? I love this puzzle, because I'd gone back to the shop and there was none others there that I could swap it for. Absolutely fuming. A couple of days later, just doing a bit of hoovering behind the dog bed. What do I find in the dog's bed? A beautifully half-chewed puzzle piece right from the middle of my ruddy jigsaw. She jumped up on the table, nabbed a jigsaw piece and made off with it, therefore ruining my puzzle fun. Man alive!
See, I knew literally at the start of lockdown there was a little bit of eye rolling when you heard I started doing jigsaws. Now, look, see, family entertainment right there.
Including the dog.
Very inclusive, pet-friendly activities.
Fuming.
Brilliant.
I know. So not happy with the dog, but man alive. There you go. I'll post it on Twitter though, @WalkerSam. You can have a look at my misery and pain over my jigsaw. Dear me. Right, look, thank you so much for listening this week. As you know what I'm going to say, the next episode of the Northern Power Women podcast is coming your way on Monday, November the 23rd. She's Simone Roche, I'm Sam Walker, and the Northern Power Women podcast is a What Goes On media production.